Hello and welcome to Flash Forum, enlightening entertainment for the new age. I'm Carsten Spencer, and I'm really happy to have you here today. We've got an exciting show. We've got a guest joining us via Skype, who I'm going to introduce in a moment. 2020. But first, I want to share with you, and thank you all for watching. We've gotten some really good feedback about the dream work that we've been talking about, and that program is going to be starting soon. And I've actually got someone on the line with me on the Skype who has been doing the presence process with me. She actually was part of the group who did it in these past couple months. And what I really want to talk about today is how the presence process and the dream work really work together to draw consciousness more fully into the body. When I talk about this dream work with people, people sometimes struggle to find out how dreams were important. As we were coming into the studio today, someone was on their way out and they said, oh, well, dreams are kind of silly. Aren't they just from anxiety, our brain processing things? And as I've begun to explore more deeply, getting ready for this dream team work, it's been clear to me that a lot of the very powerful people who have been doing dream work, Carl Jung is one of them, which we basically think of him as more of just a psychiatrist and someone who talked about myths and symbols, but he was pretty much all of his life guided through his dreams. He felt that the dreams and the unconscious were the fuller part of our personality and who we are. The book that I have here, Dreaming the Soul Back Home, he has studied and had some amazing guides and experiences in his dreams. He has studied the shamanic dreamers and the native cultures, really realizing that dreams were a huge part of the process of how to live our lives. We have access to very valuable, powerful information in our dream world. It is basically, my belief is, as I continue to do this work and looking at some of my dreams, plus the past life work that I've done, moving into past life regression, and I'm excited to talk about that with Carol, because she's done a lot of work around that as well. That we go to the same place that we go when we die, that same dream world. We leave our physical body, but we move into our light body, or what the Tibetans call our rainbow body. So we're going to be talking about that some today soon. Since we only have our half-hour show, I want to introduce Carol and really get started with her. So Carol, welcome so much. It's really wonderful to have you here. Carol Basili is a really wonderful friend of mine, and what's exciting is that as we were getting ready, setting up the show and setting up our Skype, she came running back and said, oh my God, I've got a huge black snake outside on my front porch. So from my point of view, that's they say whenever you run into an animal in your waking life, you need to honor that that's very powerful, and the snake is a very powerful symbol.
Yes, thank you, Carsten. I'm excited to be here. And yeah, I've, believe it or not, never seen a snake at my house in 18 years. So for it to be up on my back porch where I was just outside there about an hour ago, the place where we travel quite a bit is very...
Oops. Carol froze for a moment, so we may have lost Carol. That's the challenge with the Skype. So as we're working to get Carol back, she may just have to call back in. And I'm going to let I have a wonderful technical person helping me here, so I can focus on you as he's getting Carol back. But the snake is a powerful symbol. For me, it immediately brings me to the Kundalini energy, that spiritual energy that's based in the body. It's the physical spiritual energy that, through our evolutionary process, rises up. And we can help it rise by meditation, we can help it rise by yoga, we can help it rise up just simply by focusing on it, focusing on the different colors that connect with that snake energy. But it's interesting because I wanted to talk about that rainbow body that they talk about in the Tibetan yogis of dream and sleep. And the rainbow body is really what they're practicing when they do the dream work in the Tibetan Buddhism. And the dream work is about really paying attention to the dream state, to that in-between state when you're first falling asleep or you're first waking up, any images or things that come to you. And what's happened to me as I've been working, moving towards preparing for this dream team, I've been doing all this research and getting amazing information. Carl Jung, I was talking about earlier, there's some wonderful videos on YouTube talking about how his dream life was really what opened, what opened him up to doing his work and really helping people basically heal into the body. Very similar to what this Robert Moss is doing as well, healing the soul back home. So our dreams, the way we're going to be working with them through this dream team, is not about getting out of the body. It's moving into this part of us that is very present. It's the deepest part of us. It's connected to divine wisdom. It's outside of time and space, so you can travel to the future, you can travel to the past, you can connect with dream guides. But what Carl Jung did through moving into his dreams, he literally changed society. I was fascinated to learn that so many of the terms that we use nowadays, introvert, extrovert, just all of the internal introspection that we are, is just part of our culture now, this psychological figuring out personality types, that was all based on Jung and a lot of what he learned through his dream work and really moving consciously into his dreams, into the subconscious world. And the rainbow body, very interesting. There's something I read very recently in the book with the, and I think I may have shared this on last week's program, but just in case I didn't, I will share it again, that these monks or the Zen Buddhists who practice the yogas of dreams and sleep, they literally practiced it so that they could move directly from their physical body into their light body. And we have Carol back, so I'm going to bring her up on the screen. Welcome. And we're talking about the light body and what the Tibetans call the rainbow body, and how a lot of the dream work that they've done is about moving directly into that body. And they have documented cases of many of these, these Buddhist holy men who have, that was their intention, to move directly into their body. They knew it's time for me to go, time for me to move into the light body. And many of them, they literally, light begins to come out, if you're standing outside the room where they place them, they see these flashes of light begin, and when they go in to find them, their body has disappeared, and all that's left are their fingernails and some hair. And so that was really pretty fascinating. It's interesting because I read it in the book, and then not long after that, I saw something on Facebook with, and you may have heard of this man, I never get his name right. Dranvulo Madeljanek, have you heard of him? I'm saying it totally wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. He wrote something about the consciousness of flowers or so. I apologize to you because I'm getting your name terribly wrong, but yeah, but
I do know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, but it's interesting. So what I'm talking about is how we're working with the dreams. Really, I'm talking about Carl Jung and how he brought he was really about how to go into your dreams and learn how to be more present in life. And really also, which keys into with the snake here on your porch, how to look at our lives as though it's just another dream. We have our inner life and our our outer life here. We think of our outer life, well, this is the real world, and our dreams are kind of a fantasy. And what I know at this point is that that's not true. That is just another aspect of us, and as we move into it, I believe that that's where we're heading with this next evolutionary phase, is the veil is diminishing. And what we can do in our dreams, like fly and move through walls and move to the past and future, as we begin to focus on it and move forward, that may be something that that's maybe the next step in human evolution.
I totally agree, and I think I had told you before we started that I've been dreaming about snakes in particular for quite some time, and different colors, and I've actually looked into that and seen, I dreamt about a green snake with a blue stomach, and that meant something about personal power.
Yeah. And communication, I would think, heart and communication. Green is the heart, blue is the, yeah, wow.
And I was able to wrangle that snake, even though you're usually afraid of snakes when you're dreaming of them. I was able to grab it and sort of wrangle it, which was very interesting. But that has been a big theme for me, a big theme as I've been going through a personal transformation. I always equated it largely with my own personal transformation. But now it does feel more like what you mentioned about Kundalini power rising up in me. And I've had a lot of dreams about water. My water's always leaking from my house, and I mean in great torrents, like down the back of the wall. And I can't seem to stop having water leaks around my physical home. It's
So
always
so that's what I'm seeing too. Is not only are you dreaming about water, it's happening in your real life, and that's another thing to look at. We've so much with not the psychology of Jung, which he was very clear that the dream world is a real world. The way that he worked with schizophrenics was he was fascinated by the images that came to them from their psyche, from their unconscious. He felt they were real. He didn't disregard them and try to bring them back here. He would have them paint pictures of the visions that they had and then work with them. How is this helping to heal you and bring you into balance? And he had very successful, he was a very successful psychiatrist, much more so than Freud. Freud worked with a lot of patients for many, many years, and a lot of them never got better because he kept telling them that what was happening in their dreams or their visions were not real. And Jung was so much more successful because he really honored that other world.
And I find a lot of people still are very influenced by Freud and still feel that way. That
Yeah.
dreams aren't real, or they're just made up by our conscious mind,
Right.
which I find fascinating. They think, that whatever we're just making up something we want, or we're just making up something we're terrified of. And although obviously our fears do come out in our dreams, it's no different than how they come out in our daily life.
Right. And what's also part of this dream team is we're going to be working with meditation. We're going to be working with what they call the hypnagogic state, which is kind of where you go in meditation, that half waking, half sleep state where you're not really asleep, but you're in deep relaxation. It's also the place where if you've done any guided visualization with either a practitioner or on your own, you know that you can have very powerful experiences just by closing your eyes and not being asleep, but visualizing certain things happening. That's partly what happens when you go to a hypnotherapist and they'll take you back to a childhood trauma or something. So, and I'd love to share, or have you talk a little bit about your past life experiences, because I know you've had a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, the first time I did it, I remember sitting in the chair thinking nervously, what if this doesn't work? What if I can't be hypnotized? I was under that old guise of there are just certain people that can't be hypnotized. And as she was talking to me and lulling me to go deeper and deeper, she then said to me, so where are you? And I thought, I'm right here in this chair. So when I didn't say that, but I was thinking it, and then all of a sudden, she's a very skilled facilitator. She said, I'm really sensing a very deep block, that you don't want to go back to the life that's currently beckoning you. I felt nothing, however, which I found fascinating, Carsten. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel resistance. I felt basically nothing, which I found that to be very helpful for my own education. So then she basically said, let's make a safe place and see yourself high on a hill, envisioning what's happening. And as soon as she said that, I started to hear the clanking of swords and the yelling of men, and I was there up on the hill watching this battle. And then the second lifetime I went into, I was still blocked. These were some very important lifetimes for me to visit, where I had developed some really deep repressed feelings and blocks that are ready to come out, ready to be recognized. And so in the second one, again, she was a talented facilitator. She said, well, I'm feeling a block, but this one's a little bit later. Woo! She says, I'm feeling a little dizzy, like I'm in a boat. And the minute she said that, again, I was there. Another lifetime as a soldier, in a boat, going to battle. These experiences for me have been very profound, because going to the lifetime often just highlights the block that you want to let go of.
Yes, I found that when I did the past life regression. I went to the Light Institute a couple of times, and same thing about it. A very important thing is to have a talented facilitator, someone who is intuitive, who allows you to have the space, and trust that, whatever it is that puts that veil up, that keeps us from accessing this information, needs to be gently eased out. But what and I went through the same thing, that doubt, oh, this isn't going to work for me. What if it doesn't happen? I've traveled all the way to New Mexico and spent all this money. I'm supposed to be here for 4 days. What if it doesn't work? And very quickly, as I went into this, I guess the hypnagogic state, or the light hypnotic state, I mean, I still felt very present. Same thing, I was lying on the table, I was there, she was talking, but then all of a sudden a door opens, something happens, and the pictures were very clear, very strong. But what was fascinating to me is, and they start with the solar plexus at the Light Institute. They have you call in your higher power, just sort of feel that energy, and then you place your hand, you begin to feel energy in your diaphragm, your solar plexus area, and they have you place your hand about 6 inches above your solar plexus, try to feel energy moving out. And very quickly I could feel it moving out, and then you just keep moving your hand away. And what they're doing, at least from what I understand, they're having you expand and open your etheric body and really begin to feel it, which is where you hold all your memories. But what happened is the pictures began coming very clearly, and there was always such a powerful emotional connection to it. I mean, for some of these lifetimes, I was just tears, sobbing. I was a lot of fear came up, but it was very much connected into this solar plexus, which is, of course, what we work through in the presence process.
Yes, and I had the same experience the next time that I went, where I was sobbing largely through the whole thing. And I had asked before we went in that I wanted to work on back pain. And I've been working on back pain for over a year, and it has been greatly resolved and moved around a little bit. And I said I would like to work on this unresolved back pain. And we found a lot of cords attached to my back that were so old and so strong that I needed to call in my angels to help cut them, and it was very emotional. And they wanted me to get in touch with who I really was, and my immediate reaction, Carsten, was, I want to go home. I want to go to the place that I was before I was here, because I had that immediate sense of love and softness that has made being in this realm, of course, a little denser, a little thicker, a little more difficult. But what a freeing experience to really feel that love and to feel that vibration of gratitude coming from the other side, coming from my spirit guides and my angels.
Yeah.
It was tremendous.
Yeah, and I think that's beautiful when we talk about moving through the veil. I mean, that's a lot what I experienced, and I know you experienced very similar things when we move through the presence process. Moving in, we're so stuck in this, and we've honored the ego mind and the intellect so strongly, and science for many, for quite a while now has really been our religion, and if you can't prove it, then it's not real. And what it's done for a lot of us is we've said this is the real world, and this other stuff, the imagination, the dream world, that's not real. And I think what's happening as the veil begins to move, and there's so many people now doing this work, talking about light, talking about feelings, that when we move out of the head, we realize that there's so much more always available, always around us. And to be able to go to a practitioner, close your eyes, and suddenly have these experiences of going back to these past lives. And people have said to me, well, why don't you focus on the real world? Well, the real world, as we learn in the presence process, is our feeling place, what we're feeling. How many people are plagued by unresolved feelings, by old emotional stuff that keeps coming up? And it keeps coming up because our authentic self is telling us there's more than we've told ourselves there is. We're more than this story of just this lifetime. We're multi-dimensional beings. And he calls it in this book the multi-self. And he says that this is where you really get in touch with the deeper part of yourself through dreams, through meditation, and through honoring your dreams. Just talking about your dreams. But what I love is that we have the ability to, not just in the dream world, but in our waking life, go into this other realm.
Yes, and I think that for a lot of people right now that aren't necessarily doing this work, but they are opening to something that they don't understand. They're experiencing a lot of deja vu in their lives. They're experiencing what I call closed karma, where they do something that maybe is good and then they get rewarded sort of quickly, perhaps they have an outburst and they yell at someone and they sort of get that same experience coming right back quickly. These are the things that I've been hearing about that's going on with the general population.
Yeah,
And
Michael Brown talks about it in the presence process. He said once you move into the present moment, to that feeling place, is out of this idea of what the world is about, which is basically just simply based on past experiences and what everyone has told us the world was about. And where we're really moving to, and this is what's great, is so many people in my sphere that I'm connected with, we're all in touch with what do we feel? What is, because anything that's happened in the past, it's past. We're always in a process of moving forward, and I see it in my own work, just moving from the presence process and now into this dream work. It's really, I'm opening up and drawing more energy in. It's about getting into that energy.
yes, and also a lot of people talk about, and Michael Brown talks about this, and I do agree with him, that you don't have to go into past lives to feel your feelings, to uncover your authentic feelings. And although I agree with that, in my work in particular, I don't seek to go into past lives unless that's what naturally happens.
Yeah.
And I think for some people, when you've developed a repressed feeling over lifetimes and it has a strong theme, that sometimes it is necessary to
Well,
go feel that feeling in a different way.
Well, and I think one of the reasons it's important, and the same reason why I think it's important to do this dream work, the ego mind has had such a tight hold on us, keeping us in this block, that it's important for I did a sermon or a talk a couple of weeks ago, using the song Alfie as my basis, and then I did it, what's it all about ego, instead of what's it all about Alfie. And it was really a love song to the ego, because we're so about, we've got to get rid of the ego. The ego's a wonderful part of us, but it's just a part. It shouldn't be running the show. And the more we can give the ego the experience that it's okay to go into these deeper emotions, it's okay to trust our dreams, it's okay to trust coincidences, as Michael Brown talks about. As you go into the present, the present moment, open to present moment awareness, you begin to become aware of the synchronicity that is always going on in your life, about the intuition that we have. You think about someone and they call, you dream about something and then it happens. You close your eyes and go to because it's interesting, it's like you go to a past life, and part of me wanted to go to a past life and find out, oh, I was, I don't know, I was
A king.
yeah, a king or something, and actually one of the past lives I was, and it wasn't as wonderful as you thought it was going to be. But what was really interesting, and you just said the same thing, is that the past life that comes up always has a specific thing to do with what's going on in this life, and helps you get an awareness of how to heal it and release it and let it go. And I think part of the healing that was so powerful at the Light Institute is every lifetime I went to, I would go to the end of the lifetime. They would have you experience your death, experience leaving your body, experience yourself being surrounded by that unconditional love. So when I left the Light Institute, I had such a bigger expanse of who I was, the fear of death, not that it ever totally goes away, or maybe it does, I don't know, but much less of a fear of death, because I understood that I will, that I'm not this body. So, and that for the ego mind it relaxes you, so.
I've also learned a lot from dreams through the understanding that the people that are interacting with you in your dreams are spiritually interacting with you. And this is not something you're making up. And if you pay attention to the messages that the people in your dreams are giving you the same way we hope to in our waking life, then not only can you learn a lot about certain resolutions with your relationship, but you can learn a lot about how those people really think and feel about you. And I learned that a long time ago. I had this conversation with someone, and she mentioned, oh my goodness, yes, I had this friend who told me what a great friend she was, and she was always acting as though she had my back, and in my dreams she was always trying to kill me. And she said, I finally realized that that was the message that I had to be paying attention to, and realize that perhaps this relationship had reached the end of its course, and it probably was best for me to move on, and I had the same experience. I can really clearly see the way people are feeling in my dreams, and amazingly, Carsten, I don't have a lot of judgments around it. Even when I wake up, I think, yeah, wow, boy, they were not too happy with me. But I understand there's something going on there that needs some communication,
Yeah.
and then I would take
Yeah,
advantage of it.
and I think the other really powerful aspect about the work we're doing, presence process, moving into the emotional body and beginning to trust and listen to our emotions, opening up to the dream world with an understanding that there is divine guidance there, and so much, the subconscious is just so expansive, and to trust that it is what happens when we're beyond the body, what happens when we die, but we don't have to die. We don't have to let go of the body to go into what people describe in those near-death experiences. And there's so much wonderful information out there now.
And two, you can just ask before you go to bed, I would like to go to this particular realm. For example, you can call in an archangel and say, I would love to go to your realm. There's a good chance you won't remember a lot of it, but your subconscious does. Your
Wonderful.
subconscious has processed whatever experience that you're having.
Wonderful.
And that's been very powerful for me, and I don't really remember the traveling, but I am impacted by it. I can feel that.
Wonderful. Great. As we're coming to the end of the show, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's absolutely, I always love to give people something that they can take with them. So that's wonderful. And the thing about dream work, it's consistency. So I get people that come say, oh, I don't never remember my dreams. Well, you can just suggest, I'm going to go into the dream world and I will remember it. If I don't remember it consciously, I will wake up with a feeling, or some sort of healing will take place in my dreams. And you just continue to ask. But asking is with a trust that it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen the way you want it to, just continue to ask. Continue to ask. And the other thing that's so powerful about, and why I'm so excited about the Dream Team, is when you work in a group, you have the power and the energy of the group. So when I worked back in the 80s, I shared on the shows, the last two shows I did in the last 2 weeks of the dream workshop I took in the 80s, which was so powerful, because dreaming in a group, everybody was having lucid dreams, which is where you become conscious in your dream. And once you become conscious in your dream, then you can really begin to, that friend comes up that doesn't like you, can say, hey, what's really going on here? You can confront them, you can get all the information, you can ask for a guide to come in. So there's so much you can do. So I invite everyone to, number one, thank you for watching. Please tune in next week, and I definitely want to have Carol on again, because see how quick this half hour goes? It just flips right by.
So much fun.
So glad to have you, and it's great because since you're back east and I'm here, we don't really get to connect like this, so it's like I'm sitting in the room with you, which was wonderful. All right, blessings, and to take care of that snake in the backyard. Well, I'm going to send it some good positive energy. I'm trusting that it's a good omen. Kundalini is rising. Good, wonderful. All right, Carol, have a wonderful week. We will talk soon. Blessings to everyone for watching, and we will see you soon. Watch next week and spread the word. CarstenSpencer.com. Lots of free videos, lots of free stuff. And check out the Presence Process and the Dream Team. Take care. Okay, and actually you could even as you're getting it ready, you could have had both of us up there. I don't mind if people sort of see the stuff, the background stuff. I think that's fine, as they're probably hearing us talk now.
Say something to you?
Wait, we're just about to...
This one?
The second one over, that one. There.